Good evening. Welcome to the September 11th City Council meeting. We have some special guests who are going to help us say the Pledge of Allegiance. Is everybody coming up here? Okay. So if everybody would stand and come up to the podium, and if everybody would stand up and help us say the Pledge of Allegiance. Who wants to get in front of the microphone? Yeah.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And thank you. So we're not really done with you yet, but I'm going to come down there to you. So who wants to be the person who will speak to me? Did you know that? They volunteered before? It's very nice to meet you. Nice to meet you too. So tell us a bit about who's here and why you're here.
We are from Troop 802, and we are here to do our citizenship in the community badge.
Okay, and what earns you the community badge?
We have to come and listen to one of these meetings, do some service projects, and do some more paperwork and more stuff.
So you have to listen to our meeting to earn the badge? That is some time spent. And it's a built-in audience. We love it. Does anybody else need to do this? Okay. We appreciate you being here, and we certainly hope they earn their badge. All right, thanks for being here. Is there anyone here from the Adult Day Health Center? Patty, I forgot to take a picture. I'm so sorry. Okay, so the picture's okay. And so if you will go out that way, you will get a special treat. Okay, so we have a special proclamation tonight. Give this to you, but I will leave it too. Okay. Whereas adult day health care centers in the state of Oklahoma are providing professional and compassionate services in the community as an alternative to institutional living for older adults with health issues. And whereas through this service, adult day centers enable adults with health issues that limit their independence to receive care and services in the community setting. And whereas adult daycare centers provide a coordinated program of services including recreation, medical supervision, social activities, person-centered care, and caregiver support. And whereas Stillwater has been served for 34 years by a nonprofit adult day health care center called the Life Center, located in the First Christian Church of Stillwater, that provides daily individualized programs which offer participants the opportunity for enriching educational, therapeutic, and social experiences in the community, thus assisting them to stay in their own home. And whereas the Life Center also provides respite assistant counseling and educational support available to all caregivers in Payne County. And whereas the leading age of Oklahoma and the National Adult Day Services Association have designated September 17th through the 23rd of 2017 as National Adult Day Health Care Week. Now, therefore, I, Gina Noble, Mayor of the City of Stillwater, do hereby proclaim the week of September 17th through the 23rd as Adult Day Health Care Week. Thank you. Would you like to say something?
Thank you. The Life Center would just like to thank the community of Stillwater for all the love and support that they have given us over the 34 years that we've been here. And we hope to continue to be able to offer such a wonderful service to the community. So thank you all.
We thank you for your service. Okay, and our next special guest, if you want to come forward, because you're going to actually read this proclamation. That's what I understand.
All right, introduce myself. My name's James Bowles. I'm retired Sergeant First Class, Oklahoma National Guard, 25 years in. I was injured in Afghanistan, 2 IEDs there. I'm also the MOPH, Military Order of the Purple Heart, Chapter Commander, 820 right here in Payne County. What we do is we raise money for veterans, wounded veterans, but we take care of our own, just right here in Oklahoma. So we had a lot of guys, I don't know if everybody remembers, in 11 and 12 when we all went over and we were deployed, a lot of us got injured, some was deceased, but we actually earn money, do charity stuff, anything we can do to raise money, like the wheelchair ramps, anything that a veteran needs to help pay their bills or anything. I mean, none of us are paid, none of our staff is paid, all 100% is volunteer. I'm actually retired 25 years of the Sheriff's Office too at Noble County, or I started Noble County, Logan County is where I retired from. So when I got back, I was told I had to retire too because of my injuries and stuff. And what we're here for today is, I guess everybody knows what Purple Heart City is. What a Purple Heart City is, recognition for like veterans, wounded veterans. We like get signs up where people understand what's going on so they understand about the veterans that got injured and stuff. We've also got the first Purple Heart University in Oklahoma, and that's OSU. That was the very first one, and it's actually goes all the way up to Washington, D.C., and then we're recognized. We've got now, I think, I'm going to guess maybe 7 Purple Heart cities at this time. We're working on Purple Heart counties. We're going to try to get all that recognition out as much as we can and get the signs up so people understand what we went through and all that. And it's all local people here, and we've all worked civilian jobs together, so we're all really close to each other. And what we're here to do is present a plaque today for Purple Heart City, and I'm going to read what the plaque says and all that, and I'm going to hand it over to the mayor, give her the mayor, and something else I'm going to also introduce is my adjutant. You want to put me in the butt just now? My adjutant is my right-hand man. Gary Lewis is his name. He pretty much takes care of all the paperwork. He does all my footwork. I mean, everything. He does a great job at it. So I appreciate everything he does. I couldn't do it without him, I'll tell you that. And this is the plaque for the city of Stillwater that I'm going to be handing to the mayor here in a second. It reads, the Military Order of the Purple Heart Special Recognition Award is bestowed with pride to the city of Stillwater, Oklahoma, for its dedication, support, honoring America's combat wounded veterans becoming the Purple Heart City, presented by patriot members of the Chapter 820 Department of Oklahoma Military Order of the Purple Heart. Excuse me.
Okay. That brings us to the consent docket. Counselors, does anyone wish to remove or clarify anything, or is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve the consent docket.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent docket. Please vote. And with a vote of 5-0, the consent docket is approved. That would bring us to, we don't have any public comments. Patty, correct? No. Patty, okay. So I will skip public comments and go straight to, am I missing anything? Go straight to public hearings, which is item number 7. And I would like to I'll say that in a minute. I will just say, Mr. Dorman, did we have good notice on this item?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Mr. McNichol.
Paula Dennison, Director of Development Services, will provide that report.
Thank you. Good evening, Paula Dennison with Development Services. What I have before you this evening is a request for a map amendment located at 1121 Southwestern Road. As you can see, the outlined hatched area.
Paula,
Wait.
we're on A first.
Oh, I'm sorry. Am I on the wrong one? My apologies. Right quickly. I did not look at the agenda. That tells you, doesn't it? 1215 Southwestern Road. Okay, great. Lovely. Thank you very much. Let me reorganize my notes here. I will blame this on Mr. McClenny because he wished me luck when I got up.
Well, they are both on.
Threw me off key. Thank you. 1215 Southwestern Road, map amendment request. This property, and they're so close in proximity to each other anyway. This property is located at the southeast corner of 12th Avenue. You can see 12th Avenue on the north side and Western Road on the west side. The property is outlined in purple. It is actually the West Haven property, the assisted living. The surrounding zonings are RSS, which is small lot, single family residential, and that is how this property is currently zoned. And to the north is RSS and office. To the west is office, and to the south, the pink is commercial shopping. This is actually a street view of the property. The RSS zoning does allow a nursing and rehabilitation service, which is under our zoning is classified as healthcare and social services with a specific use permit. The West Haven is wanting to expand, do some minor addition and expansion to their property. So instead of just coming in with an SUP for their legally non-conforming use that they had that would just allow them the additional expansion, they chose, in order to have it all free and clear of any type of zoning encumbrances, to actually request an office zoning for their property. The office zoning that they're asking for would completely bring the property into compliance. It also would have some relaxation on the setbacks and those type of things, where the RSS is primarily focused on residential small lot and the greater setbacks from street and rear properties. This office zoning district would therefore allow this continued use. The Planning Commission has found that it is a legal non-conforming use. The C3 comprehensive plan that the city has adopted does indicate commercial use for the future land use of the property. As you could see on the map, it was adjacent to not only commercial zonings, but also commercial uses. And as an office zoning district, the compliance would be 100%. So it would remove the nonconformity if the property is rezoned. Any questions for me at this time? Okay.
Counselors? Okay, at this time, I will open the public hearing. And we have one speaker for this public hearing, I believe. And that would be Elaine Courtwright. And if you would come up and please say your name and address. And before we begin, I just want to remind everybody that for the rules of public speaking up here, speakers are limited to speaking about what they signed up to speak about. And they have how many minutes, Mr. Dorman? They have 5 minutes each. And we'll just start. And please say, tonight we would also like to know your name, your address, and there was one other thing.
Whether they're in the notification area.
And if you were in the notification area.
Okay, my name's Elaine Courtwright. I live at 2208 West 11th. I don't think I'm in the notification area. I believe that's 300 feet. Okay. And I just wanted to state my view on the rezoning. West Haven, as it is, has fit into the neighborhood. It is stated 40 years old. As the facility is aging and likely to be replaced at some point in the future, I feel it would be prudent to see actual plans and to wait for that to happen rather than opening the property to speculation now. By changing the zoning now, I believe the city will expose itself to more risks of urban sprawl and more eventual road infrastructure expense that it cannot afford. I do not wish to see Western Road or 12th Avenue have problems similar to the Perkins Road infrastructure problem. I would like to see the city become proactive instead of reactive. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Courtwright. Okay, I will close this public hearing because we don't have any other speakers. Ms. Dennison.
Yes, thank you. The recommendation comes from the Planning Commission and is a recommendation of approval of this request from RSS to Office Zoning District.
Okay, counselors,
I have a
discussion.
random question. Why wouldn't it have been zoned that when it was built?
When it was built, and we didn't go back that far and do a lot of the zoning research, but zoning districts have a tendency to change over the years, and some zoning uses are allowed in districts many years ago that are no longer allowed in those districts, for example. So that could conceivably be one of the reasons healthcare or an assisted living center, nursing home could have been allowed in a residential zone many years ago, but no longer.
Other questions?
Could you just clarify for me? I know you already said this, but if it's changed to office, nursing home is an allowed use in office?
Yes,
Without
healthcare and social assistance is an allowed use by right in the office zoning
So
district.
it doesn't need an SUP or anything?
Correct, it does not.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Any other questions? All right, is there a motion on this recommendation?
Motion to accept Planning Commission recommendation.
We have a motion and a second to accept the Planning Commission recommendation. Please vote. The vote was 5-0 in favor. Okay, with a vote of 5-0, CC-17-130 passes with a vote of 5-0. That brings us to item B. Receive public comment regarding a request for a map amendment to rezone property located at 1121 South Western Road from RSS Small Lot Single Family Residential District to Office. This has been postponed from August 21st, and the item number is CC-17-129. Mr. Dorman, did we have good notice on this item? Yes, ma'am. All right, Mr. McNichol.
And Ms. Dennison will give that report as well.
Thank you. Now we're on 1121 Southwestern Road. This is a map amendment request. The property you just took action on is located south of 12th Avenue. This is located north of 12th Avenue, also on the east side of Western Road. You can see it in the hatched outline area. It is currently zoned RSS, which again is small lot, single-family residential, and it is completely surrounded by RSS on the west, north, and east. On the south side, right at the intersection of Western and 12th Avenue, is office zoning district, as well as across Western Road.
Could you point those out one more time?
Yes, ma'am. This is the property in question. The RSS is the tan color around it, and the more yellow gold color south of the property on the north side of Western Road, 12th Avenue, and on the west side of Western is all office. And then this was the parcel that you just acted on right here, this 1215. Anything else while I'm on this map before we move on? Okay. This is a view of the property. It is approximately 0.9 acre, so it's a fairly large parcel in the vicinity for residential property. We did have some concerns. There was a citizen who came and met with staff before this went to the Planning Commission, and again after it went to the Planning Commission, asking a number of questions about the redevelopment, any screening opportunities or driveway connections or anything like that. And those questions were addressed by staff, and y'all have the Planning Commission minutes from this item as well. So the findings from the Planning Commission include the property is adjacent to office zoning district and uses, as well as RSS zoning district and uses. The C3 plan, or the comprehensive plan for the city, does identify properties along Western Road primarily as commercial, including this parcel. Western Road is a section line road, and it's also classified as a minor arterial, which speaks to the functional classification of the road. And the location and size of this property does allow any opportunity for redevelopment. I'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have at this point.
Councilors, questions? Okay, we have quite a list of people who would like to come up and speak with us. We will start with Beverly Haston. And Beverly, if you'd tell us your name, your address, and if you were living inside the zone.
I'm Beverly Haston. My address for 35 years was 1121 Southwestern. I now live at 701 Donaldson.
And you can just go ahead.
Okay, well, thank you for letting me speak. I'm not really sure what I'm supposed to say. I just know that I tried desperately to sell my home, and my husband fell in love with it when he was in high school, which was many years ago, and said that someday he would own it, which we did. And the house means a lot to me. We raised children there. I brought him home to die there, and I didn't think I would ever leave. But I do have a chronic condition that makes me unable to stay there, and I moved closer to my daughter. I tried, I think since April, to sell the property. I was very insulted that no one fell in love with it like we did, but it's too old. No one was interested. And that's when I went to start the rezoning. At the Planning Commission, no one came to object to anything. And then there's been some public outcry over it, which I took as a personal attack because they didn't even live in my neighborhood. And one of the concerns was having commercial property or office property next door. When we moved in, we moved next door to the office that's there. We've always enjoyed that after hours. Our children learned how to ride bikes there. We played with cars there. It was never a problem. There were also 3 rental houses across from us at that time. One was a drug dealer. There was a house full of college students who threw wild parties. And there was a house that was falling down, and there was no Save the Neighborhood outcry then. So I was really surprised about that. And there, since it is such a large lot, the parking would not be a problem. And traffic certainly won't increase because it is on a very busy street. And I know that I can't beg you to pass this, but if you don't, it's just going to devastate me financially and personally. But I know that's no reason for you to do it. guess that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Counselors, any questions? Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Larry Brown.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. Larry Brown, 1020 North Boomer Road. We're lost there for just a moment. I am a commercial industrial realtor with One Broker Place Real Estate. I am not involved in this transaction, but I was asked to come very briefly and speak before the council. Mayor didn't know we had 5 minutes. Last time I was here, it was 3 minutes. I'm going to have to fill somehow that extra 2, and it may be pretty painful. I would just ask for your support on this rezoning. We're seeing more and more opportunity along these arterial roads to do a commercial development at the O zoning category is the least intensive commercial zoning that we have in the city of Stillwater. And in fact, if you look at the allowable uses by right in the O zoning versus the RSS zoning, there are some similarities. In fact, there are the same uses to a certain extent in both categories. This particular use at this point will be have minimal impact on the surrounding neighborhood. It begs the question, okay, at this point, we know what may be going in there, what happens in the future. And again, I think as was explained with the zoning requirements, setback requirements, backyard requirements, and other things that are involved in the O zoning category, there are some additional protections that are provided for those neighbors that might still be in the residential zoning categories. Secondly, as Paula mentioned, this is a rather large tract. It's larger than most of the other tracts in the area. And for that reason alone, it does tend to lend itself to be looked at more for some sort of office or commercial zoning. That being said, Mayor, I will waive my time. I know you have other people that do want to speak. I'll be glad to answer any questions that you might have. Otherwise, I just ask for your support.
Okay, counselors, any questions? No.
Thank you.
Mr. Brown. Our next speaker is Melissa. Hold on. You don't want to speak any longer? Okay. Okay. Our next speaker is Liz Robbins.
So, my name and address.
Your name and your address.
Okay, I'm Liz Robbins. My address is 2302 North Perkins Road. Start?
Yes.
I'm here to ask you to approve the rezoning. I'm a mother, a wife, and a business owner, and I am proud to be the 5th generation born and raised here in Stillwater. I grew up in the neighborhood around Western, and I want nothing more than to preserve the character of the area. I've owned Glow Salon and Spa for 8 years, and I'm not a huge corporation. I have no investors. It's just me and my team. And I'm not a developer. I always use local vendors, and I will continue to do so if the rezoning is approved. Together, we will build this for Glow Salon and Spa to have a permanent forever home. My employees and I want to be part of Stillwater and continue to grow and nurture all of the relationships that we have made in this city. Our clientele is refined, courteous, sophisticated members of this community. They are clean, quiet, and respectful of their surroundings. In the last 8 years, we have never had one issue with any of our neighbors. My vision for this property is a stone structure similar to the architecture of the neighborhood. I plan to keep all of the trees, add a privacy fence, and shrubs to allow the neighbors to have their privacy. I want this lot to blend seamlessly with the 10 homes and the other 23 businesses that would be our neighbors. This lot is perfect for a tranquil feel that we are looking for. We want a place where guests can come and relax and take a deep breath and feel refreshed and calm. I'm the first viable offer that they've had on this property. If the owner cannot sell this property, she may have to rent it, and I believe that my proposed business would be a better solution for the neighborhood than renters. And lastly, I know that in the past, the council has turned down rezoning in this area. The huge difference is that from 19th to 6th Street, on the east side of Western, which is the location we're talking about, there are only 10 homes and 23 businesses. I've watched the development south, on the south side of 12th Street, and I believe that has made the surrounding area more desirable and aesthetically pleasing to the community. And I also believe my business can do the same. That's it.
Okay, so you are here not as the applicant,
Yep.
but just as the, you would like to buy that property.
Potential buyer.
Potential buyer. We appreciate that you would come forward and speak to us about that. And
So this is the rendering of the home, of the, not the home, but it looks like a home, of the business that.
it's not up there yet.
Oh,
Hey, there it is.
There we go.
so again, keeping with the look and the feel of the neighborhood and not trying to put in a strip mall or anything like that. And as far as parking goes, well, I have 21 employees, but we double shift. So at any given time, it would be, and that's including, you know, receptionist and things like that. So at any given time, you're looking at like 6 to 12 cars. So that would be as far as the parking goes.
Okay.
Any
And I know you did not have to do this because we do not have to know what's being proposed on the other side. Questions, counselors? Ms. Robbins, thank you. Okay. Karen Byros?
Karen B. Rose, Fisher Province Realtors. I'm the realtor for the seller, the owner of the home, 904 East 6th Avenue. As Ms. Hastings stated, we've had the home on the market now for 124 days with not much interest. Liz Robbins has submitted an offer and was accepted contingent upon the rezoning being passed tonight. We feel that this is the highest and best use for sellability to have this rezoned office. This location is not really desirable for family use. Very high traffic count, 6,814, according to what I saw online today, and the noise of the traffic as well. You can't let your little kids play out in the front yard with all the traffic. The proposed purpose from Liz as a salon spa will have reasonable hours, low traffic for business use. It's on a section line road, minor arterial, fits in the 2030 C3 plan. No big outdoor lights, no big intrusion to the area. If this all works out, we will close tomorrow and she will start her new business. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Our next speaker is Stephanie Robinson.
I'm Stephanie Robinson. My address is 1001 South Walnut. So I think you said something about 300 feet. I'm not that close, but I'm still in the vicinity. I'm here to approve the rezoning at 1121 Southwestern. I have lived in the neighborhood in question most of my life, with the exception of 5 or so years, a long time ago, in my younger years. I personally don't see a problem with Glow Salon having their home there. I previously was an employee of Glow, and I personally know the kind of people they have as customers who are all upstanding members of the community. I think that Glow Salon would be more visually pleasing and potentially quieter than many Stillwater properties. When I think about this area, my vision always goes to the daycare center that is across the street and to the south a little bit, Oak Tree. And I feel like this was also an area that had old houses that had structural issues. And once they redid it, and it looks fantastic, I think, and works well. And the houses that are still on the north and south side of the daycare still feel homey. I feel like you can still drive through there and it all flows together. Which I know will be the same for Glow. They will forever keep the property clean, be respectful of neighbors in quiet times, and always keep the property up to date with the neighborhood.
Thank you, Ms. Robinson. Any questions? Sorry. Okay, thank you. Now we have Steve and Teresa Tully. Just Teresa.
Steve had to take care of grandchildren. I'm Teresa Tully. I live at 1002 South Pine. I was not in the notification area, but I do also live in the neighborhood, very close proximity, in my opinion. I've lived in Stillwater all of my life, which is a very long time, and I've lived in this particular neighborhood for more than 45 of those years. So I have a very personally vested interest in seeing this property, as well as everything around it, maintain as much calmness, peacefulness, and so on as is possible in a neighborhood like that. I would love to support the rezoning of this, especially because of what I see is happening here in terms of what we hope that may go into the neighborhood. I know there have been a number of people that have had a public outcry about the concerns about what it's going to do to the small neighborhood, the community that we have had. I can tell you, living in this area for 45 plus years, I have seen many, many, many changes. Some of those good, many of those not so good. And I can tell you from a personal standpoint, the biggest reason I believe many of those are not good is that so much of the area is residential, single-family residences. I'm not opposed to that. I love that. That's what I want to see us stay that type of setting for as long as we possibly can. However, I was here when the nursing home was built. I know that that nursing home has been here and been a part of that, part of the community and neighborhood for all of those years, and it has not impacted us in a negative way. I also know that the office location that's built on the northeast side that is already zoned as office has been there for many, many years, has not had any negative impact on our neighborhoods, in my opinion. If anything, it has been positive because they've kept it clean, they've kept it nice, and they have not, the city of Stillwater has not allowed it to be degraded and not taken care of. As a property owner, where I am, I can tell you that the majority, maybe not majority anymore, we are starting to see a small influx of homeowners come into our area, but many, many of the homes around me are rental property. Rental property not only of individuals who own the property, but of bigger companies that own property in the area. I can tell you over the past 15 years, I have had drunken brawls across the street from where I live. I have gone out to go to work at 7:30 in the morning, seen beer bottles, beer cans, trash, all strewn all over the neighborhood, as well as people sleeping on their lawns and their porches because of parties that they had. I will say it has improved slightly. We had a very negative experience across the street in another direction, and that has improved. I do know that piece of property currently is rental property, but it's owned by one owner, not by a larger company or a larger group of people. Therefore, that is why I support this particular piece of property being rezoned. I know what can happen on the other side of leaving it as residential, single-family residence, and it is not all good. I don't want to lose my neighborhood. My goodness, I've lived there most of my life, and I intend to live there for the rest of my life. I hope that will be many years to come. But I would much rather see a nice office, commercial type of business go in there than to allow it to become, to remain as it is zoned and become another piece of rental property that comes into our town, shows people coming into our town what we want it to be, not a party place. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Tully.
Any questions?
Okay, and that, we have 2 speakers left. Shirley Weeks.
I don't want my time to count when somebody back there was lobbying with me as I was on the way to the podium. I'm here to speak against the zoning, but none of my notes are appropriate for what's happened here. I don't quite understand if the property has been sold to the woman who is going to develop it and the house will be knocked down and we're going to build this building.
I don't know, where's the owner?
So I guess you all know I'm a neighborhood advocate. I believe that neighborhoods are becoming a endangered species in our community. So I came to speak for the value of neighborhoods, but and I don't usually speak without prepared notes, so I may be able to mumble around here. So if this contract does not go to a completion, will this come back before you? Does this require a special use permit? I mean, it seems to have changed. I didn't understand. Was it Planning Commission? Did they say
It would
was?
have to go before Planning Commission again for this proposed use, am I? So the person who would like to build the spa would have to go before the Planning Commission to get a special use permit.
Okay. I just didn't have time to prepare for this kind of a presentation. I thought we were trying to decide tonight whether this was going to be single-family zone or if it was going to be an office zone. And so that's
what we are.
Well, we're talking about a specific owner and a specific.
She's saying that they don't have to go back for an SUP. Do we not need an SUP? I don't want. I want to make sure that the information we're giving you is correct. Before
I'm not questioning Paula. I'm just confused, but that's not unusual.
Excuse me, Ms. The healthcare and social assistance, personal services, my apologies, Patty is correcting me. Personal services is a use allowed by right in the office zoning district, so it would not require a specific use permit.
So if it was zoned?
It does require personal and laundry services with the specific use permit.
Your clock is stopped, so hold on just a minute. Oh, it does, yes. Patty was looking at the wrong zoning district. My apologies. It does require an SUP. So yes, it will go back before the Planning Commission under the criteria that an SUP is allowed under, and there are certain criteria that an SUP is evaluated for. So to the Planning Commission and then to the City Council again. And that is with an approval of the office zoning district. Thank you. Okay.
Shirley, as I understand it, there is a contract contingent. Contract has not been completed for the purchase of that property. It's contingent on the office.
I guess what I'm
zoning.
asking, if contingent doesn't go through, much of this appeal to you all, it's been wonderfully presented. It seems to appear that we're going to have this facility that was shown, but not until a contract is signed does this facility that you viewed is a deal. So I'm just a little confused about that. Now, let's say the contract goes through and we have this specific use permit. When the building permit to alter this building, because I didn't think that looked like, it would look lovely, but I didn't think it looked like the house. So will the building permit also go along with what you are perhaps to allow or not allow?
Yes. And I think that is just a remodeling of that house, maybe a different facade, not a new building.
You know, I have no idea. I've not gone to actually speak with an architect yet, because why would I do that? Because it's a bit through. So I would love to look at the house as much as possible. I think that would be amazing.
So what I think that, just off the top of my head, because I haven't thought through this clearly, is that you will be casting a vote on speculation. And I'm not sure that I'm at ease with much of the presentation being about a speculation of what it sounds like perhaps would be a good use. So I will just stick with my neighborhood comment and tell you I think you should always ask questions about, do we need office space? Do we have enough residential housing? Does this improve the neighborhood? Does it improve Stillwater? So I'm sorry, I do better if I write it down. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you. And our last speaker is Elaine Courtwright.
My name's Elaine Courtwright. I live at 2208 West 11th. I am outside the 300-foot district. On Google Maps, I am 1,000 feet outside that district. If you walk north and then east, as the crow flies, I'm probably 400 feet out of that district. The first I was aware of the rezoning request, and I'm against the rezoning request. The first I was aware of the rezoning request was on August 8th while I was walking to the bus stop on my way out of town on a vacation. So I missed that Planning Commission meeting. On returning, I found it passed Planning Commission approval. My primary reason for objecting to the anticipation is the anticipation of increased and faster traffic on 11th and on Down Ridge to avoid traffic backups on Western. My reason for this anticipation is prior firsthand knowledge. I can always tell when there's an accident on Western between 9th and 12th, when I have cars zipping by my house. It's like, oh, something must have happened, and it did. My primary reason, the office building on the northeast corner of 12th and Western has two entrances to its parking, one on Western and one on 12th. It has not caused substantial backups. A business on the east side of Western, north of 12th, in my opinion, could pose the probability of southbound traffic for both the southbound commuters and those wanting in the east turning lane to 12th, backing up on Western, especially during the evening commute home. The property appears to have two curb cuts for driveways and appears to be big enough to split in the future. Turning traffic could also impact pedestrian traffic the city has encouraged by improving the sidewalks that happen to only be on the east side of the street. Turning traffic could also, in my opinion, impede the northbound Brown route bus I do not wish to see Western have similar problems to the Perkins Road infrastructure problems. My secondary concern is the potential commercialization of Western on the east side from 12th to 6th, with drivers taking various shortcuts on side streets. We are a neighborhood that offers desirable, affordable housing, and I will do my best to see it retain that flavor. In talking to a neighbor after the last Planning Commission meeting I attended, there were a young couple, first-time homeowners, and they said they have many friends who would like to buy in the neighborhood, but they don't have the opportunity to buy because, quote, landlords purchase the properties, and young first-time homeowners do not have an opportunity to buy affordable housing. Commercialization and large apartment complexes contribute to Stillwater's quality of life in a manner different than those of established neighborhoods. I feel we have a choice. Thank you.
And thank you. Okay, at this time, I will close the public hearing and ask staff for recommendations.
The Planning Commission is sending a recommendation of approval for the rezoning request of 1121 Southwestern from RSS to office.
Okay, counselors, are there questions for staff?
Paula, if the current owner, if this passes and the current owner decides to either back out of the current contract or the new purchaser after the contingency is exercised decides to resell the property to somebody else, is there any, if we do pass this zoning, do we get to get this spa on the property, or could somebody build something else there?
Any of the uses allowed by right or with a specific use permit in the office zoning district would then be authorized to locate on the property.
So we shouldn't make a decision based just on what is proposed there right now?
That is correct.
Thank you.
Okay, other questions or discussion?
I'm going to piggyback a little bit on, well, I don't have a question, but this has been an interesting, zoning is very interesting, and as I talked to Paula and talked to others and was gently reminded that communities don't grow and prosper by keeping things separate. In other words, neighborhoods and businesses separate. There has to be a way for those to meet together. The difficult thing about zoning is figuring out what is the appropriate spot to grow the business when there's already a neighborhood. I grew up in Stillwater. I know this neighborhood very well. I want to keep the integrity of it. And you're right, we can't base this decision tonight on a salon. That would be wonderful to go there if that's a plan, but we as a council, we have to think about a business that would go there. To me, it makes sense for that corridor for businesses to grow. I don't think it impedes necessarily on that neighborhood. Ask me about a specific other area in that, and I may not think the same way, but I think as a council, you have to think about what makes the most sense for a community to grow and prosper, where neighborhoods and businesses can come together. And to me, that's how I'm looking at it.
Thank you, Counselor.
I'm piggybacking on Counselor Zanotti's comment that zoning is interesting. I think it's horrible. I don't think it's interesting at all. I don't like these hard decisions. Lovely presentation, and the drawing for the spa just looks great. It's difficult to, and I come from a place of loving mixed use, and I, in fact, in the last vote on 12th Street, I voted yes, because I said I like commercial and office along the perimeter of a neighborhood. I think it does bring some life to the neighborhood that it needs. And I can't rationalize doing this on the hope that everything turns out the way you've predicted. it doesn't sound fair to other projects that have been turned down. But convinced me otherwise.
I'll try.
Okay.
So this is we've had this, as you guys said, we've had this discussion a couple times. Just on 12th Street a little while ago, we had some differences of opinion about what should go in there, and I was in favor of maintaining the neighborhood on that side of the road. This one I feel differently about a little bit, and there's a couple reasons for that. I think my question initially was to make sure that I understand that we all understand that while this does look like a wonderful development, and I love the idea of this spa there, we can't make a zoning decision based on what might go there. There's just, it's not limited to that extent, and really zoning for us needs to be about the community, the bigger picture, trying to figure out best uses for land that's next to each other and close to each other, and how to obtain a number of goals for the city. So we've got to look at it in a bigger picture. And I think one of the ways we do that, I just asked Paula to bring me this today, the C3 plan, which is a big thing, this comprehensive plan that we do as a city. In fact, it talks at the beginning that this took 2 years of work by a 14-member committee of people in the community, who I actually just noticed today includes my boss. But this is an important document because it lets us as a city plan what we think are best uses looking forward, and it doesn't always match what's there now, but we spend a lot of time and a lot of energy talking to the community and figuring out where is this going, what's the best use. Western from 6th to 19th in this plan shows commercial activity. I don't have any basis to question why they decided to do it that way when they planned this in the C3 plan, and I like to give as much deference to this as we can, given that the people who put this together spent a lot of time and energy putting it together, and talking to the community and talking to neighbors. And so it's tough in a single zoning situation to go and say, well, this one's a little different, it should stick out, there's a reason, unless there is a compelling reason to say why it shouldn't line up with what this plan shows. I think we should give this deference. The 12th Street zoning, the north side of 12th Street shows residential in this plan. The south side shows commercial. Western, as I said, shows commercial all the way both sides. I think we've heard good comments from neighbors in the area that have indicated they don't feel like it's going to be a big imposition on the neighborhood. In fact, it might improve the community. I think that's certainly understandable. I do also, though, agree, Ms. Cartwright, with your concerns about traffic. I think that's already a problem on Western. As you've already indicated, when there's a wreck on Western, it causes backups in the neighborhood. That's something that we need to address as a city already. And certainly if this does become more commercial, we're going to have to make some improvements to Western to deal with that. But I guess I think, well, I understand your point, Councilor, that our previous, this may seem different than our previous decision about the north side of 12th Street. I think the C3 plan itself helps show that this is a reasonable decision to make, as well as the comments from the neighbors. So I think it makes sense to approve the zoning.
Councilor Wedlake, do you have anything to add?
Ditto. My entire comment.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Well said.
Well, then I can't say that. So I do think this one makes more sense to me than some that the 12th Street on the other side. Councilor Joyce, you made a good point there. This one, on the road that it's on, it's just different. It's more of an arterial way. It fits with the C3 plan, and I've driven it 3 times now and walked around. It doesn't mess with the integrity of the neighborhood the way some things could. It doesn't mess with the integrity. And I really look at that when I'm trying to decide, because of course we always want to protect neighborhoods, but I think there's a way to protect this wonderful neighborhood and allow the C3 plan to come alive a little bit more, because that's going to be really hard to do anything with. That property is really hard. So those are my comments as well. I guess, does anyone else have anything else to say? Do we have a motion for this?
Motion to approve the zoning request.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Please vote. And with a vote of 5-0, it is approved. And because you've sat here, if you're sitting here just for this, then we love having you in the audience, but this is also a nice time if you need to get up and leave, so.
I think you should make them stay.
Okay, that takes us to resolutions, am I correct? Okay. Resolution number CC-2017-14. A resolution approving action taken by the Stillwater Utilities Authority, authorizing a loan from the Oklahoma Water Resources Board in the principal amount of $12,600,000, approving a sales tax agreement between the city and the authority pertaining to certain city sales tax revenues, ratifying and confirming a lease agreement and operation and maintenance contract with the authority, and declaring an emergency. Councilors, is there discussion, or do we have a motion?
Do we not need to act as the utilities authority before this, or do we just pass a contingent on?
I don't think it really matters what order we go. I had, Mr. Kaiser and I had this discussion on the way down. I think we're okay. Unless you want, if you feel better, we can recess and take up the other one first.
I mean, I guess if we pass this now and then for some reason the utilities authority doesn't pass the resolution, this just goes.
Then we're done.
We got a problem. We got a bigger problem. That's it. Make Dan sweat.
Okay.
No, it's a good point, though. I don't know. I don't have anything to add to that. I don't know if the manager does or if there's anyone that wanted to speak to the issue itself.
Well, it seems to me as though one way or the other, we need both bodies to
So
approve.
let's go ahead and have a motion on this one, and then we can do it again. Make you feel better?
Yeah.
I understand what you're saying.
Are we planning a presentation on this issue for this?
There is
SUA
under
meeting?
the SUA, yes.
Can I make a motion to approve it contingent on the action of the authority?
No, we don't want to approve it contingent.
Okay.
All right, well, how about if we just skip to the next one?
Go to SUA and take it up there. I don't know why we couldn't hear the discussion now on it. I mean,
That'd be great.
Okay, I'm going to,
I mean, I don't want
is
to
there
make
any reason why I'm assuming Mr. Smith's going to get up and explain what's going on here. Why don't we table this?
Yeah, can we do that and finish out the rest of this agenda, and then we'll go to SUA and come back and do this?
all right, so we're going to table Resolution A.
No, that was the order.
All right. Ordinances on first reading, Mr. Gorman.
Ordinance number 3375, an ordinance amending Stillwater City Code by amending Chapter 41 Utilities, Article 4 Water Service, Division 1, generally, Section 41-112, Application for Service. This is your 40 PSI requirement for connecting to city water services. Don't know what else to tell you. Mr. Blankenship can probably give you some more detail.
Yeah, all of the existing lots or parcels that are in place prior to the passage of this ordinance would still be subject to the 25 PSI requirement, but any new lots that are created after the effective date of this ordinance would be subject to the 40 PSI. That would enable you to actually approve a plat, but the new plat, even if it were approved, wouldn't be able to get water connections until they were able to meet that 40 PSI requirement for each lot.
Advance to second reading.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to advance to second reading. Please vote. And with a vote of 5-0, ordinance number 3375 is advanced to second reading. On first reading, Mr. Dorman, item B.
Ordinance number 3382, an ordinance amending the Stillwater City Code by amending Chapter 2, Administration, Article 3, Authorities, Boards, Commissions, Committees, Commissions, Trusts, by repealing in its entirety Division 5, Stillwater Community Center Board, Sections 238 through 266, Division 6, Accessibility Advisory Board, Sections 2-267 through 2-298. Division 7, Community Relations Committee, Sections 2-299 through 2-322. And Division 10, Business Improvement and Special Services, District Number 1 Board, Sections 2-378 through 2-411. And by repealing in its entirety Chapter 33, Parks, Events and Recreation, Article 2, Parks, Events and Recreation Board, Sections 33-32 through 33-58, and by amending Chapter 23, Land Development Code, Article 2, Administration, Division 2, Boards, Commissions, and Groups, by amending Section 23-25, Membership, and 23-27, Quorum and Voting regarding the Planning Commission, and by amending Chapter 2, Administration, Article 3, Authorities, Boards, Committees, Commissions, Trusts, Division 2, Audit Committee, by amending Sections 2-148 through 2-168 regarding the Audit Committee.
Okay, who wants to discuss that?
I do want to say something real quick. Councilor Joyce and I served on this committee to go through, and I had no idea the city had this many boards and committees, and it was very eye-opening. And to sit there and go through and figure out what makes sense and what doesn't, and there's an ebb and flow to all of that, was really helpful. No decision was made lightly. I think I want to encourage anyone who doesn't want to sit up here in the horseshoe to please be involved with your city and join a committee or a board if you are passionate about living in the current city we're in. I think it's a great way to be active and involved. Some of these committees seem a lot more exciting than others, and sometimes it's hard to fill those that aren't as exciting, but it's important to be involved. And so I just want to say that it wasn't taken lightly, and I don't know if Councilor Joyce has anything else to say, but.
I don't. I mean, I think much of this is just really taking out boards that haven't been used in a long time. There are certain ones that were set up for specific purposes that are still in the books, and so we're taking some of that out. The specific amendment to the Planning Commission, taking it from 7 members to 5, is really based on the problems getting 7 people to show up consistently. And this makes it more, I think will make it more responsive and make it more more consistent in terms of the folks sitting on the Planning Commission, and allow them to do their job, which is an important and thankless one, just like many of these are, even better. So, yeah, just cleaning up some of this stuff and trying to improve the efficiency of our boards.
I would like to thank Will and Elaine for doing this, and it's always nice when somebody does all the back work and just sends it to us. I would ask if, when we spoke about this at our strategic planning meeting earlier in the, whenever that was, year, we talked about looking at the process of application and the process of serving. I would hope that you're excited enough about the last work that you did that you would continue that, or that the council could look at that also.
Since that strategic planning meeting, the applications for, the announcements for these openings exist on the website. They also appear in print advertising that we do, and the applications are available online. We did have a glitch for 2 or 3 weeks with them being submitted properly, but you can make the entire application process online. So we hope, improved both our communication on those issues and the ability to make application to be a part of a particular board.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Do we have a motion to advance ordinance 3382?
Motion to advance to second reading, please.
Second?
We have a motion and a second to advance CC 3382 to second reading. Please vote. And with a vote of 5-0, CC-3382 is advanced to second reading. That brings us to item C, ordinance number 3383. Mr. Dorman.
An ordinance rezoning a tract of land at 1215 Southwestern Road from RSS Small Lot Single Family Residential District to O Office District. This is the item that you took up earlier this evening. There is the Development Services requested that we go ahead and put it on the agenda tonight. So it's, I mean, you know all the details with regard to this, so this would be the first reading.
Motion to advance to second reading.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to advance ordinance number 3383 to second reading. Please vote. With a vote of 5-0, it's passed. On second reading, Mr. Dorman.
Ordinance number 3379, an ordinance closing a 20-foot utility easement on property addressed as 1402 North Hightower Street.
Councilors, discussion?
Motion to adopt.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt ordinance number 3379. Please vote. With a vote of 5-0, ordinance number 3379 is adopted. Item B, ordinance number 3380. Mr. Dorman.
An ordinance rezoning a tract of land addressed as 2224 West 6th Avenue from RSS Small Lot Single Family Residential District within the Westwood Conservation Neighborhood Overlay to P Public District.
Councilors.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt ordinance number 3380. Please vote. With a vote of 5-0, ordinance number 3380 is adopted. Item C, ordinance number 3381. Mr. Dorman.
An ordinance rezoning a tract of land addressed as 1205 South Husband Place from CG Commercial General District to RT Residential Two-Family District.
Councilors.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt ordinance number 3381. Please vote. With a vote of 5-0, ordinance number 3381 is adopted. That takes us to reports from officers and boards. City Attorney.
One item tonight, request an executive session pursuant to 25 OS subsection 307C10 for the purpose of conferring on matters pertaining to economic development, including the transfer of property, financing, or the creation of proposal to entice a business to locate within the city of Stillwater, because public disclosure of the matter to be discussed would interfere with the development of products and services and would violate the confidentiality of the business.
Okay. City Manager.
Yes, ma'am, one item. The City of Stillwater utility customers now have 2 new ways to pay their utility bill. The 2 new ways are to pay by text and pay by email. These are handled by the same system that is used for regular online payments, Paymentus. Payments and Paymentus gets kind of confusing, but customers who do not wish to pay via Paymentus may still use the traditional forms of payment, including automatic bank draft, pay in person, pay by mail, or pay over the phone by calling 405-742-8245. And I would also like to note that last Thursday night, there were a ton of people here in town. The traffic seemed to move pretty well, considering all the previous construction projects, and I wanted to thank ODOT and the construction companies involved for getting those lanes open before we had all those guests.
Absolutely. Anybody else have any news?
Oh, I don't have a
Naughty.
written
We'll just
one.
go down the road.
Yeah.
Get your dancing shoes and costumes ready for the Mummy and Sun Dance. The dance will be held Friday, October 20th from 7 to 8:30 p.m. at the City of Stillwater Community Center. Tickets are available until October 19th, and they're $25 per couple and $10 for each additional son. You may purchase tickets online at tickets.stillwater.org or in person at the Community Center. October 20th.
Thank you, Councilor Zanotti. Vice Mayor?
I just wanted to make a note, since we've been spending some time tonight talking about neighborhoods, Ingham Park was dedicated. That is on 4th Street?
Ridge, Fourth and Ridge.
4th and Ridge, and that is in the Westwood Overlay District. That neighborhood has done just wonderful things, and they really set a high bar for all of us. It was a lovely event. It's a beautiful little park, and I hope that you will visit that and see how neighborhoods can work.
Absolutely. They are the most important part of the community, for sure. Okay, Councilor Joyce, do you have news?
I do have news. The City of Stillwater is still seeking community input on critical infrastructure projects. Do your part to help Stillwater identify priorities for critical projects that could be funded by a general obligation bond. Your input will help Stillwater City Council, that's us, make informed decisions about what could be on the ballot in 2018. Currently, until the end of November, city staff will be gathering community input and providing information about how bond projects are financed and the effect that this may have on property taxes. Super, super, super important. Please let us know what you would like to see. As you all know, we haven't funded any infrastructure or capital projects in our budget because we don't actually have any sales tax money to do it. So we need to be able to pass bonds and fund some of these bigger projects. So please let us know your input. Let us know what you want to see so that we can get what you want on the ballot.
And all you have to do is go online to see this?
You can, yes. There is, I think the webpage isn't on here, but there's a webpage, stillwater.org/.
Yes. And we also ask you not only to do it yourself, but actually to share it so you get other people doing it as well, because that's the only way that we get a lot of responses back, if we have a lot of people sharing this. So please not only do it for yourself, but remind your neighbors to do it. Another thing about neighbors, walk over to their house and say, hey, have you done this yet? It's important. We need it. Okay, and Councilor Wedlick.
And finally, the City of Stillwater recently applied for recognition as a bicycle-friendly community. The League of American Bicyclists want feedback on your bicycle experiences through a quick survey, and that survey can be found at stillwater.org/news, and the deadline to fill out that survey is Saturday, September 30th. So, tell us about your bicycle experiences.
That brings us to appointments, and we have two committees that need appointments. The first appointment is on item A, the Audit Committee, and I nominate Bill Hinton to this committee because there's a vacancy. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to put Bill Hinton on the Audit Committee. Please vote. And with a vote of 5-0, Mr. Hinton, you are now in public service. It takes us to item B, which is Stillwater Housing Authority Board. We have 2 vacancies and 2 current members who would like to continue their service. Ruby Manning. Do I do these separately?
You can do them together since they're reappointments.
Okay, so reappointments, Ruby Manning and Roger Ghost. Is there a second on that motion?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to reappoint Ruby Manning and Roger Ghost to the Stillwater Housing Authority Board. Please vote. With a vote of 5-0, Ruby and Roger are reappointed. And at this time, I am going to recess the Stillwater City Council meeting and go to the Stillwater Utilities Authority meeting. I call the Stillwater Utilities Authority September 11th meeting to order. On the consent docket, trustees, does anyone wish to remove an item or have something clarified, or is there a motion to approve the consent docket?
Motion to approve consent docket?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the Stillwater Utilities Authority consent docket. Please vote. And with a vote of 5-0, the consent docket is approved. That brings us to general orders. Mr. McNichol.
I believe we have a presentation by Bill Millis on this item.
Good evening. Tonight, excuse me, I'm here to ask you to authorize, excuse me, the SUA chairperson to sign the letter of binding commitment for the $12.6 million loan for Water 2040 Package B. The letter of binding commitment is the commitment between the SUA and the Department of Environmental Quality regarding the loan and the improvements that we're going to make with the loan proceeds. This item is directly related to the resolution both on the City Council agenda and later on the SUA agenda we were just talking about. The SUA resolution is to accept the loan from the OWRB, and then the City Council resolution is to approve the SUA acceptance of the loan from OWRB. But at this point, the letter of binding commitment is a related but separate document delivered to us from the Department of Environmental Quality that requires a positive response. Assuming approval of all those three items, we would close the loan towards the end of September. And I like at this point, I kind of wanted to show you what's involved in Package B and
Sound like clap?
yeah, that's not part of the presentation.
That was interesting.
Yeah. Show you Package B and give you a little bit of a current update on the status of Water 2040 as a whole. So this is the Water 2040 map, and these are the Package A projects, including the up at the water plant up at the top of the screen. That project, because the bid prices on Package A have come in so low and the easement acquisition costs have been lower than anticipated, that project was originally part of Package B and we moved it into Package A. So it may be a little confusing, but the packages have changed just a little bit. But that's a good thing. We've got enough capacity in the original loan to move one project and get it done sooner. The 6 original projects from Package A, of the 6, 2 of them are all under construction, almost complete. 2 of them have bid, or excuse me, 2 of them are under construction, the 2 water towers, and 2 of them have bid or in the pre-construction activity phase. So those highlighted in yellow, besides the water plant, are the first 6, and those are all bid and under construction. We're nearly there. And then showing up now are the Package B projects. And that is six projects remaining in Package B. 2 of them were just approved on tonight's agenda, so the bids were awarded just a few minutes ago, and the other 4 projects are all under design. That includes 3 water line projects, a large pump station project, and then a demolition project to decommission and eliminate all the infrastructure that's going to become obsolete after Water 2040. Those total the $12.6 million that was approved by the OWRB on August 15th. The loan total was approved. And Package C, if you recall, this table shows, and you're not going to be able to read that. The main point there is that it's got split into A, B, and C, A being green, B being yellow, C being blue and purple. Excuse me, this shows the project number 7 funding moved from Package B back to Package A. And then so the total amount that we needed to borrow for Package B decreased by almost $2 million. And that also shows you Package C, again, the blue and purple, approximately $51 million worth of improvements that we determined in 2015 we were able to defer until at least 2020. So package B will reevaluate starting in 2020 and determine when we need to construct those improvements. But that was allowed us to defer $51 million worth of improvements and not build them until closer to the time when we need them, rather than, taking on debt right now and building them. So circling back to package B, as I said, that loan was approved by the Oklahoma Water Resources Board on August 15th, including the 6 projects. And that's the letter of binding commitment that is the item before you right now that I'm asking you to approve relates to that loan. The interest rate on that loan is 2.68%. That's the total interest rate, including fees, closing cost OWRB. And the package A loan was 2.32, which was probably the historic low loan, the best rate we ever could have hoped for. So while 2.68 sounds a little higher, it's still a really good rate. And that's a good chance to thank Don Kaiser with the Don Kaiser Law Firm and Rick Smith with Municipal Finance Services, who helped us, with the legal and financial work in preparing the loan applications and carrying them through the OWRB, getting approval. And I will just offer then that if you have more specific questions about either the loan package, the loan itself, or the legal work, to offer either of them to answer your questions or any other questions you have about the specifics of Water 2040 or Package B. But at this point, this action would just be to approve or authorize the SUA chairperson to sign the letter of binding commitment, and then later to address both resolutions. And that's all I've got.
Council, trustees, discussion?
No.
All right. Is there a motion? Do we,
Yes, you'd actually need a motion and a second to authorize the signing of that letter, to authorize you to sign that letter.
okay.
A motion to authorize the, what are you, trustee general? Yes.
Chair.
Chair. To sign the letter of binding commitment.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to Resolution SUA 2017-6. Please vote. And with a vote of 5-0, trustees have authorized me to sign the letter. It takes us to reports from officers and boards. General counsel.
You still have your resolution.
I'm so sorry. Okay, so
This item.
6A. So, resolutions, I have to read this? All
You
right.
could just call it by name at this point.
Okay, Resolution SUA 2017-6. Trustees, is there a motion?
Motion to adopt?
Yes.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt Resolution SUA 2017-6. Please vote. And with a vote of 5-0, SUA 2017-6 is adopted with a vote of 5-0. Now we're at reports from officers and boards. General counsel.
Nothing to report, ma'am.
General manager.
No items, ma'am.
Trustees. Okay. So is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn the Stillwater Utilities Authority meeting. Please vote. I don't know why I did that. Please vote. And with a vote of 5-0, the Stillwater Utilities Authority meeting is adjourned. Now we do that. And now I'm going to reconvene the Stillwater City Council meeting. Do we have a motion and a second to move into executive session?
Need to
Not yet.
approve the resolution.
Yep.
Good Lord. Okay, so
That's
we're
my
going
fault.
back.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's all my fault.
All right,
I'll make a
so-
motion to approve resolution CC. Can I do that without you reading it first?
Yeah, go ahead.
You're fine.
Bring it.
Motion to approve resolution number CC-2017-14.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve CC-2017-14. Please vote.
Trying to speed it along.
And with a vote of 5-0, 2017-14 is approved. Now do we have a motion and a second to move into executive session?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to move into executive session. Please vote. And with a vote of 5-0, we are now moving into executive session.